Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the 13th episode of the Be Salty podcast. I am so excited that you all are here joining us. I'm also super excited that we have the fellas on this evening. Oftentimes, when we're on these female led podcasts, we're typically talking about ladies and what we enjoy and what we like, but tonight it's time to talk about the fellas and what they're thinking. So I'm definitely looking forward to go ahead and getting this started. As always, I do like to start with an affirmation. So I just like to encourage all of you that are listening that, whatever you're going through, come what may, like you have the power to overcome. So today's word of affirmation is I am enough, right? Get that in your spirit, stir it around, let it go ahead and take root in you and believe it. Like believe that you are enough. Come what may, you are enough. You might not have everything you need at that moment, but you are enough for whatever season that you're in. All things work together for the good. So keep striving, keep going, you will overcome. Without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get started. I'd like my guests to go ahead and introduce themselves. So we'll go ahead and start with Eric.
Hello. My name is Eric Lewis. I am a fitness enthusiast. I'm a personal trainer.
A little bit louder, Eric.
I am from Zachary, Louisiana. Graduated from Northwestern State, Louisiana. And I am happy to be on this show. Thank you, Kendra.
Happy to have you.
So I am Frederick Brooks. I'm also from Zachary, Louisiana. I am a realtor, I'm an entrepreneur, and I am a self-publishing executive. And I am happy to be here as well.
Are y'all cousins?
No.
You know, say that when you say you're from the same place.
Right. Been knowing Fred since we were like, 7 years?
7 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
How old are you now?
Now you make us tell our age.
In your 40s? Can you say that?
I am 41.
41 as well.
So at least almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi. My name is Mo Jordan. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. I'm a chief compliance officer for a financial institution where I predominantly investigate like anti-money laundering and terrorist financing things. And then I do a couple of entrepreneurial things on the side. And I'm excited to be here, Kendra.
All right. Well, I'm excited to have all of y'all. Last week when we were on, it was the ladies and we were talking about sisterhood and we kind of dove into some of those topics that we as women face when we have a bunch of women in our circle. We, I guess, dibbled and dabbled on a couple of topics concerning you all. But today I have so much that I want to ask you all. I'm asking that you be candid, transparent, real, relevant, and raw. All right. But keep your words salty. OK. Do you know what I'm saying when I mean keep your words salty?
Please.
Might need a little clarity. Give me a little clarity on that.
So I am a person that believes in seasoning your words with salt, right? That means being respectful of everybody. That just means I refrain from your cussing, and things of that nature, but speak freely, right? Okay, if you happen to say that, yeah, I don't cuss. You know those hard, strong words. Y'all know the hard, strong words I'm talking about.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, so without further ado, like I want to, before we really get into the nitty gritty, I want you all to kind of give me a quick perspective on what you think brotherhood. What does brotherhood mean to you? And like it's this is open conversation right here. So I'm not gonna be like,
go first, same order.
To me, so I'm a twin.
Okay.
So brotherhood, I was born with somebody. Like I've been in the womb before birth, before coming out with somebody. So brotherhood to me means having somebody back no matter what, being honest at all times, and I mean unconditional love, basically.
Okay.
Uplifting, anything that my brother needs that I can help him with. I
like that. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it's all about energy, right? So like Eric mentioned earlier, he and I have been knowing each other since we were about 7 years old. And so I consider him my brother, not because we're related, because we have energy. We are going to be honest with each other. We are going to push each other to be our best. And we're going to have fun together. And I know that, he's going to be the same way with me, whether I'm a billionaire or whether I'm homeless, right?
Right.
But because he's my brother, he's gonna keep me covered to make sure that I don't get to that level, because we're gonna always uplift each other. Iron sharpens iron.
True. Like that.
Right.
Well,
Brotherhood to me, it doesn't necessarily harken back to what he says. It's not about sharing the same blood. It's about having a connection and finding commonality in each other. And brotherhood is always going to look out for each other. Brotherhood is always going to support each other. Brotherhood is always going to hold each other accountable. We're going to always call each other out when we think that we may be right, wrong, or indifferent. And it's always going to come from a place of love and sincerity, and not necessarily brotherhood is not going to give you what you want to hear. It's going to give you what you need to hear.
okay, so that's actually my idea of sisterhood. Like accountability is big on that list or whatever. But I hear what y'all are saying, right? And I'm in agreement with what everyone is saying. So with that being said, like, do y'all feel as though, and I mean, be real, because there are situations out here where you have men that don't really like to go to therapy, especially in our Black community. We have not normalized therapy. So y'all talk amongst each other, right? And I feel as though that I've been privy to have knowledge of some of these experiences that y'all have. And I don't, do y'all really hold each other accountable? Like if it's a situation of where, let me just give you an example, okay? Especially with you, Eric, and Fred. So if someone comes, if okay, so Fred, if Eric comes to you and he say, man, listen, he say, I'm struggling, in my relationship, and she not giving me the needs. She giving me the 20, right? Are you familiar with the 80-20? Are
She's
y'all
giving, she's
familiar with
giving
the
me,
80-20?
Hey,
Yeah.
so briefly
Yes.
elaborate. Yeah, expound on that right there. 80-20.
So
she's giving 20%
he's,
of
Eric
effort.
is getting 20% of what he's looking for in his relationship. He happens to meet someone outside of the relationship that is giving him 80%. He's struggling with what decisions he should make. And he goes to you, Fred. He goes to you, Mo. And he says, hey, listen, he said, I got a situation of where I'm starving at home, not literally with food, but I'm not getting my needs met, right?
Hmm.
And this is someone who I guess he could potentially see himself being a life partner with, but he's not getting his initial needs met. And he comes to you and he says, but this 80% over here, she's giving me exactly what I need, then some. And he comes to you and he says, what do I do? I mean, keep it real, because I feel as though men will pursue the 80.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like we said, we're brothers, so I want to make sure my brother on the right path. So first thing is, have you had a conversation with your partner, and have you actually discussed what issues were going on within your relationship? So my first thing is, I'm going to ask a discovery question, because that 80%, if you just met that 80% last night, then how you know she gonna continue giving you that 80%? You know what I'm saying?
How do you know if you're going to continue getting the 80% if you didn't meet her last night?
You won't. But at the same time, if you got time in this relationship, that's something that's salvageable. You can talk about something that you've already invested in versus having a big life changing event on a whim, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I
So
think for me, I personally, I think for me, in a situation like that, I'm going to ask a person, what makes you happy? What is 80% doing that makes you happy that 20% is not doing? And is 20% capable or have the capability of understand your want and needs? And is she willing to supply you what it takes to get you to 80? But that conversation can only happen when you have that conversation with 20. 80 may be doing it like Fred said, but she may be doing it at the beginning, or she may be doing it, but is it sustainable? Is it something that you believe that person can sustainably do? But you just got to go back to 20 and ask yourself, is she capable of being what 80 is giving you? Because if not, then it's time to let her go anyway. To be honest with you, because I mean, life is too short to be unhappy or not have your emotional ATM filled. You know what I'm saying? It needs to always be able to dispense what you need. You know what I'm saying?
So Eric, are you receptive to what your brother Fred and Mo said?
I am. However, I would say this though.
Your volume should come up just a little bit more.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would say this. Um, in this case scenario, the 20% at home is like it's dependent upon how time. So how long have you all been together? So obviously, so if it's been a long time that y'all been together, obviously there is something that is wrong in y'all relationship that hasn't been fixed. So I'm assuming also that conversations have already been had. All right. So if that's the case, I'm assuming that through time, I mean, it's a reason why you have outside and established that 80% outside of your relationship.
So here's my thought process. So what I would probably tell my fellow brother, right, is don't entertain 80 at any point in time. If you feel as though the 20 is not meeting your needs and that chapter is closed or that door is closed, close the 20. When you go seeking for the 80, go seeking at 0%.
Can I ask you something about this 80?
Sure.
What is her situation?
What is
Because
whose
it's always,
situation? The 20?
yeah, because it's always, we always kind of have these scenarios where it's always the man. What is her situation? She got a man at home. Is she getting 20 at home and getting 80 from him? What's
No,
the dynamic? What's
this
the
is
dynamic of it?
I set the stage for a relationship where they're cohabitating.
No, I'm talking. No, I'm sorry, not 2080. What is 80? What is 80 situation? Is
Oh,
she?
I can't tell you what 80's situation is. And really and truly 80's situation shouldn't even matter.
Hmm. Oh, okay.
Am I
I
right?
don't know about
You're
that
right
I don't know about that. I don't know about
Why?
that, but
to some
Be-
degree.
it should
because
matter.
because
Go ahead.
naturally,
I can
when
barely hear you. Yep, the volume
because
is extremely
naturally
low.
being a guy or a girl, if you're not getting something at home, you're gonna naturally seek what you're missing. It doesn't really matter your relationship status. It could be a job. For example, let's say you're working at this place right now. These people aren't treating you the way that you feel like you need to be treated. Guess what? You're not gonna wait till they kick you out. You're gonna start putting out resumes, right?
So I disagree with that. Yes, I would begin putting out
Yes.
resumes at a job, but if I'm in a relationship, no, I'm not gonna open the door for another relationship when the other door is not closed. You don't. I can't treat a relationship that I'm having with someone like my job, right? Because my job is sustaining one need, my finances. My person that's home is there to help me sustain all needs, right? So, in essence, if I'm not getting what I need, and typically if somebody's operating at a 20% capacity, that could be seasonal. That could be a phase.
I get it, but this is what the brothers are thinking. This is the type
I'm
of
hearing.
feedback you're
I'm
gonna get.
hearing. We think quite differently.
Absolutely, absolutely. No question about that.
So then, okay, so let me roll into this next question, which is, what are you looking for in your like what? How can you be vulnerable with a woman when this is happening? So if you're in a situation with a woman and this is going on, how can you find yourself being vulnerable to her, saying, "Hey, like I'm not getting my needs met"? Like, how do you have that conversation? Because I feel as though men, not all, like Jesse says, not all, not all, not all, but some men struggle with communicating or verbalizing their emotions.
I agree, and I tell you what, I am one of those men.
Okay.
So I really have it's not I struggle with verbalizing my emotions, verbalizing my feelings, and I think the reason why is because I have been hurt before. So yes, I do, which is not good. I do hold on, or it's a natural reaction to um I guess, uh, lack of a better term, hold on to what has happened in the past, and not necessarily putting it on the current relationship, but man, scars sometimes it take a long time for scars to heal. A
So what?
And
long
it's
do-
time.
So
probably
so
it's,
so
it's
so
probably
Mo,
a de- it's probably
what
it's
do you
probably a
tell
defense
him in that
mechanism.
situation?
Say it
It's
again.
it's a de- it's a defense mechanism.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It's a
True.
defense mechanism because he's protecting himself from past transgressions. But if it's a situation like that and he's divulging that he has a hard time communicating emotions to the opposite sex, that's when you got to kind of take time and get away from getting relationships at all and kind of work on yourself and your emotions and where you're at. and see if a relationship is really what you want to be in. Because a lot of times you get in phases where you don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to be accountable because regardless of what you say, when you're in a relationship, it's a job. It's work involved. And if it's work involved, it's a job. Now, are you being compensated monetarily? You may be compensated empathetically, sympathetically, emotionally, spiritually. That's a different type of currency, but it's still a social currency. And
True.
it still requires a lot of work. It is work, work, work. Sometimes people ain't willing to put in the work. I've had plenty of phases. I don't feel like putting in the work. I'm tired. I don't want to do all the extra stuff and whatever else it comes with being a part of being a relationship. But understand once you engage in it, it's going to be some work because you're catering to someone's needs. That's a
Nah,
work.
I agree 100%.
okay.
What?
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
my
I'm
take,
I'm,
my
I'm,
take
I'm
is
I
that,
am absorbing.
Huh?
I feel like I'm on Dr. Phil show. Go ahead.
Because I
No,
mean, I'm
that
not the
was a
best,
no,
good
no,
nugget right there because
but I'm
I
not
was
the
gonna
best.
say that exact same thing. I was gonna say it when in that situation, like maybe you need to evaluate if you need to even be in a relationship. Like until you at that place to where you can verbalize, in a healthy space. Because sometimes what happens is when we're hurt, like he said, it's a defense mechanism. Like I don't want to be in that space anymore. So
Yeah,
that I can protect myself from being in that space. No, I'm not gonna let you in.
Right. And I'm learning. Like
Yeah, we
speaking on
all
my
are.
speaking on my current, I am learning how to communicate. I
So
am learning.
how could a woman help you with that?
I don't think she can. It's all about myself. Like until I am ready, until I am comfortable. So I guess until I'm comfortable with the person that I'm in a relationship with, then that's when I will be able to communicate in that way.
So Fred, what do you think? Like if you're hearing what Eric's saying, like in that space, like how do you think a woman can help you? Like if you're in a relationship with this woman, do you think a woman can help you in that space?
yeah, absolutely. For me, and the reason being is that a lot of the women that I've come across, even with friends, family, whoever, and even myself, I don't have a problem communicating. But when I communicate, I expect the woman to be receptive to what I'm saying, and not just shut down and say, "No, I don't know why you feel that way." I'm not thinking, how are you gonna tell me why I feel the way that I feel? You should at least
exactly.
be able to listen, because if you're not listening to what I'm telling you while we're communicating, then I'm going to shut down and I'm not going to want to communicate anymore.
That's
Yep.
that's good, and I'm gonna put a pin right there because I want to come back, but I want to get this question that somebody's asking you, Eric. So someone is saying, what makes Eric comfortable enough to communicate? So like, is there anything that can make you comfortable?
Time. So the only thing I can
Huh?
think like off the top of my head is time. Um, time. That's time.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Because
So
with time for him probably comes trust.
Right.
And
yeah,
I feel like I'm in a trusting environment. I can divulge whatever I need to divulge with without feeling like I'm being chastised or it's being deflected back upon me. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta be
Right.
comfortable in the space in order to
yeah,
be
true.
vulnerable and emotional.
True, 100%. So, Fred, you were talking about like when you're telling her something, like she has to be receptive enough to receive what you're saying. So, like, um, if you're in this space and this woman is telling you, hey, I wanna create this safe space that so that you can pretty much say what you want to say because that's what I like. I like to be able to say exactly what I want to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if in fact you see something that makes you feel like you can only go so far with saying stuff, like will that make you pull back?
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't want to be talking to myself, right? Because a conversation is a two-way street. And I got to feel comfortable with you in the first place, which is what Eric alluded to earlier,
Hmm.
to even want to have a conversation like that, period. But when I
Okay.
do get to the point to where I'm opening up, I'm being vulnerable, I'm having that conversation, and all you're doing is denying a lot of the facts that I'm making, then why are we even having this conversation at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. I hear that. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. A question that was, and so I believe I tell y'all like I allow people to send questions. So a question that someone sent me, it says, um, is there a problem with men paying 100% of the bills if you are I'm not sure if it's dating or marriage. They didn't specify. And it says, because in other countries around the world, this is common. However, in America, not so much. Demographics show a different type of way of doing things. So, I mean, how do y'all feel if y'all are with a woman and I'm not saying a woman where you're living separately, somebody you living with together, whether it's dating or marriage, how comfortable are you with paying 100% of the bills?
I'm not comfortable with it. Like, why would I be? Like, you go to college, you get a degree, you go to work. Why? But then it's the Me Too. We all doing it. We can do as much as males can do. But then when it's applicable to that, then all of a sudden we want to go back to Eastern Europe where they do things a certain way and it's supposed to fit that narrative. I don't get it. It doesn't work for me at
Well, I
all.
can say this. Now, I have gone abroad and I've seen those things taking place, right?
Hmm.
But when those things are taking place, so are the other components, meaning the man is in leadership, the woman is, you know, under the leader, but aside, however you can say, she's walking aside, but under the leadership of the person and the family unit, the dynamic, the order is much different.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And
So I just saw
mhm.
you had a real struggle with saying like submissive or underneath a man or something like that. But
Yeah.
Oh,
I understand and I agree with what you said. But it seemed like because the Bible, like yeah,
The order.
yeah. But
Yeah, so
you
I
have
don't have a problem with submission at all. In fact, I operate in submission 100%. But I do know that there are a lot of women that have a problem with that word. That word sometimes is
well,
taken
that's why
negatively. So I try to
you were being
sometimes
politically
not
correct.
use that word, but find other words to put in place so I don't make women feel a certain way. Trust me, we're gonna deal with that submission word. It's coming up.
because also in these other countries, what comes along with them doing 100% of that is in a lot of countries I've been into India's and places of the world, they don't necessarily value a woman as much as we do in America. They kind of, supposed to be in the shadows, not interject or have opinions and all that kind of stuff. And we in America's we're a lot more forward than that. And you can go to school, get degrees, get paid, and it's a beautiful thing. And we can collaboratively work together and achieve what we need to achieve as a team and as a goal. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, so someone posted here and they said, I believe that if a woman doesn't invest financially in a man, split the bills, dinner, etc., she is invested fully in the relationship. So what's your thoughts?
she said she's what?
She's not vested fully in the
No,
relationship.
no, no, she's not. She's not.
I,
No, she's not.
I agree.
So if it was a first date and
I'm
I
going. I
show
got
up,
first date. I got it. That's the first.
no, 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 no,
We
no.
can.
If it's the first date and I show up and I want y'all to tell me if this is gonna make y'all feel away. If it's the first date and I show up with a little gift, maybe it's I don't know. I mean, off the top of my head, let's just say a Starbucks gift card, a cologne, something. If I show up with a little gift, right? First date, we've been communicating over the phone for a few weeks. There's interest there, right? And I show up with a little gift on the first date and I pay.
You'll be one in a million.
Unicorn.
Woo!
Unicorn. I done just found Bigfoot. Bigfoot is alive. He really in the forest.
If that were
So
if
listen,
that did happen,
huh?
if that
I'm
did
looking at
happen,
it totally different.
if that did happen, I would feel a little uncomfortable.
That's what I'm
Um,
thinking.
yeah, I would feel a little uncomfortable because it's the first day, so it's my first time, vibing with you, going out, we just chilling, and you want to do all no.
So
But what if?
listen,
Hey,
But what if she? But what if she? What if she
that could be
invited you? What?
potentially how that person is raised. So
But what if
like
she
for me,
invited you?
let me say this. For me, if we're talking 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna ask the first date. But let's just say we're talking and I do, and I say, hey, you want to go out and grab something to eat? I'm the type of person. If I'm inviting you, I'm paying.
That's fair.
so
That's respectable.
that happens to me, right? So and
Okay,
it
okay,
still
brother.
makes me feel uncomfortable, like it still does.
What, you scared she gonna want something at the end of the night?
I
Hey,
don't know.
no,
So
Hey,
so So here's the problem. So I have somebody who just said we don't mind paying 100% of the bills if they shut up when we say shut up. So right, that's a problem. This is the reason why women tend to have a problem with the word submission, right? Because it
But I
turns
want your
into a
opinion.
dictatorship.
I want her opinion. Her opinion is valuable. Her words are valuable. They add substance to our relationship. I want her opinion. Who wants to
So
be
if you're
in a
paying
relationship
100%
where
of
they
the
have no opinion?
bills, if you're paying
But
100% of the bills, do you feel like that I should have to that you control me?
No,
that's not gonna happen with me. So I don't. I wouldn't control it. Right? It's not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. You
Well, you
know.
pay
But
100% of the bills for your children, and I know it's a different dynamic, but does that mean you
absolutely.
control them?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
I
then I'm gonna
don't.
feel
I
like
don't.
you shouldn't want to control
I
me.
don't because I want them to be adults and eventually leave the house and go about their business. So I won't be responsible 100%. Let's keep that a buck. Let's keep that 100 right now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Fred, you're not giving me much conversation. So I'm gonna ask you, if I showed up and I
mhm.
paid for the bill and I brought a gift, are you gonna feel uncomfortable?
No, I'm not. I'm going to gladly accept that gift. I'm going to gladly take you up on your offer for the bill. And then I'm going to ask you, what's the catch?
What if there is no catch?
It's gonna be hard to believe because you just don't
So,
see it.
so,
I
so
mean,
that's what I'm saying. So, how can we, as women, create a new normal as opposed to just assuming the man should always pay first? I mean, is that a rule? The man should always pay first. Is that the
I think
expectation?
it goes back to if I'm inviting you on a date or I'm inviting you out to lunch, I'm going to pay.
yeah. Hmm.
If I was single and a young lady was inviting me out to lunch, if she wanted to pay, I would accept it, but I would be prepared to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. Understood. Understood. So let me see. Everyone should just be themselves, no matter if it's a woman or a man. Not the first date, but once you are dating. Okay.
But
And
who meets the real person the first 2 3 days? I mean, it's all representatives at that point. You know.
I'm always going to be the person you meet.
I'm talking about the majority. You may be the unicorn. We established that you may be the unicorn. You might be the Bigfoot stomping through the forest. But we're talking about the majority.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You ever watch Tinder Swindler?
I'm shifting gears on y'all. I'm going somewhere with this question, but I'm going somewhere after this. So, with all you men on the phone, tell me what some characteristics that demonstrate leadership.
Taking action. I mean, not waiting on everybody else to do something before you do it. For me, I believe in being a trendsetter. If you want to open an LLC, you want to open a business, do it because that's what you want to do, and you're going to take lead and control over your own life. Don't do it just because your friend over here just did it and let you know that they did it. So for me, it's all about action. Lead by
Okay.
example.
Okay.
I think it's understanding your audience and what their needs are and being observant to understand what their shortcomings are and actually encouraging them and putting them in position to be successful. I feel like that's what a good leader is, personally.
Okay.
I'll ride Fred's coattail and say it's all about action. So I was always told the leader is normally like the quietest person in the room. And they lead by example versus being all loud, right. I do this, I do that, I do this. Just watch them move. Just watch them move.
Yeah.
So action is my key component in a leader.
Okay. Okay. With that being said, do you believe in the order? Um, in well, let me go back. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, do each of you or share with me your thoughts on marriage?
Who
Do
going
you
first?
do you
You.
support marriage? Do you not support marriage? Let me hear
I'm gonna go last. You want me to go first?
You gotta air. You gotta air.
it. No, let Eric go last. I want to hear from Fred first.
All
Let
right.
Eric go last.
I do. Of course, I'm married. I support it, but I don't want it to be forced. I don't I don't believe people should get married because it's just the thing to do in this particular season. You know, if it's genuine, if it's for the right reason, if you can see longevity, if you can build together, then you know I don't see why not. But I just don't. I just think that a lot of people are doing it today just to say, look at me, I'm married, and post pictures.
Okay. Mo?
I mean, I kind of believe in it. Uh,
I need you to
I think I think
elaborate.
it's I think it's I'm elaborating, but I'm kind of collecting my thoughts because it's complex. Any relationship that you engage in is going to be complicated because people are complex individuals. You got to understand the want and needs of a people of a person, and then you got to almost kind of project or be able to reverse on a pivot when their wants and needs change. And the most important thing in a marriage is really understanding that individual and being adaptable. You have to adapt to a person's wants and need and be willing to put in the work to supply those needs because what she needed yesterday is not what she needed today, if that makes sense. Or what she needs a year from now won't be exactly what she needs at this moment. And that could be the same thing for a man. So you're gonna have to be adaptable, and it's just like Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price. It changes, and you have to be fluid in a relationship in order for it to work. Because if you're not fluid and not able to adapt to a person's mentality, their needs and wants changes, then it's bound to fail anyway.
Okay.
So. It may
Eric?
have been a perfect fit. It may have been a perfect fit when you got married, but 10 years from now, it's not the perfect fit because we changed into something different. And we might be
Well,
better versions. We,
life in general is full of, or should be full of evolution, right?
yeah.
We should all be evolving. So who you met when you were dating shouldn't even be the same person that you married. And who you marry shouldn't be the same person year after year after year. I should constantly be evolving and changing, right?
But you can evolve and change to something that you're a better person, but what you evolve into as a better person might be not the fit for the person that you married at that time, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know?
So are you so is the basis of marriage for you not spirit not based on your Christianity?
Uh, it's based on Christianity, but there's certain things that you have to deal with in relationships that it boils down to your happiness. Am I going to be happy in this situation? Can I be happy? Because at the end of the day, having happiness and peace above all is one of the most important things to me in my life. And if it's something that's bringing me unhappiness or bringing unrest in my life, it's something that I don't want to deal with. If I've tried to fix it and it's not working, it's just not going to work. It's just no need to sit there and keep spinning the wheels and say, okay, we're married, and no matter what, we're just going to stay married. We know our grandparents that did that. Grandmothers who watched our grandfathers go out and make babies with their best friends across the street and just sat there and lived in it. And that's not the way someone should live. Live in your happiness. Be happy.
Yeah, like
Oh,
Jody sleeping in your room, but because society says or the church frowns upon divorces, then you're gonna be happy with Jody sleeping in your room, right? And you're not happy. And honestly, you're not happy.
well,
Yeah.
I would
And I
say
think
this.
Mo said a
I
lot
would say this.
about peace. Is for me, peace is very important.
I would say
Absolutely.
this. When you speak about church, when you speak about God, because I can't wait to get to Eric here, but when you speak about church, I feel as though yes, the church may frown upon marriage because God hates divorce, right? In saying that, God also forgives us if we do divorce, right?
Hmm.
Um, however, when you're in relationships, there's seasons to marriage. It's not always going to be a happy marriage, right? It's not always going to
Hmm.
be marriage is not always going to be, happy go lucky.
Roses.
There are
Yeah.
seasons of the marriage where you will have to endure long suffering, right? There are seasons of the marriage where you will have to endure, um, I want to say, not so kind words and things of that nature, right? But if in fact you feel as though okay, you know what? Right now I'm not happy, which in fact, your happiness shouldn't depend on me anyway. Um, and
Yeah.
then you find that as a means to exit, where you truly meant to be married is kind of like how I feel about it. Like I feel as though where we are in this generation, people don't want to endure.
Well, I think you made a point that you have to endure long suffering. I understand that, but nobody wants to suffer from the altar to the grave. You know, you married 40 years and you've been suffering the whole time. I mean, there's got to come a point that you're going to say when. Somewhere along that path, somewhere along that timeline, when is it okay to say
Yeah, and so
this
that's
doesn't work
that's
for
when I
me?
think once you feel as though you've done, listen, I'm gonna speak for my marriage, okay? When I was married to a pastor. I was married to a pastor for 10 years. We dated before that. I suffered abuse after abuse after abuse. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, probably every piece of abuse you can possibly name, right? And I tried to do my best to carry the weight of the ministry on my shoulders because I didn't want to let people down, right?
But you were letting
And
yourself down by enduring it after a while.
the abuse, yes, I most definitely did.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that I stayed in the church for other people. And that's oftentimes why we stay in relationships for other people. But at the end of the day, my first commitment was to pleasing God, but I wasn't pleasing God by staying in a situation where I was being abused.
My
So you
parents are
gotta
married.
know. I feel like you gotta know when it's time to go.
My
Yeah,
parents are married. My parents were married 30 years and got divorced. It ain't never safe if you're not happy. And what's weird is I was a 28-year-old man when I realized my parents were getting divorced. Like I cried over it. I struggled with it. But I watched them live in that dysfunction for so long that it became my norm.
No,
Not only until I saw them with the new individuals that they're with now, did I actually see the true happiness within them. And if I didn't see the true happiness in them, and I saw them together for my whole life, I would have got cheated. Because the versions of who they are now is 1,000 times better than what they were before they got.
wow.
Thank you for
makes
sharing that.
sense.
So Eric, like, what are your thoughts on marriage?
Marriage. I think
Overrated, overrated. No, I'm just joking. Just joking. I'm just joking.
but marriage. Marriage.
Come on, man, give it to us raw.
It like I have so many thoughts in regards to marriage that goes on in my head. Like, so I'm traditionally Southern Baptist. So of course marriage is the thing, you know, you gotta get married when you get old. You can't cheating and divorcing and the typical with marriage. But I had to learn or I gathered my own understanding in regards to like just life in general. So when you speak of marriage, I take it back to like the biblical. You can go back to the biblical days, or even our ancestors. They had multiple wives. And it's a reason why. So I feel like marriage is it's an unnatural behavior. Like it's an unnatural practice, and you can see why throughout all marriages, why it is. Why do so many people cheat? Why? It's a reason why. Like so, marriage is in my honest opinion, marriage is a forced behavior. Like it's forced. Um, I mean, I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack behind my comment.
No, speak freely
But
because I hear this a
I kind
lot.
of, I kind of think you telling the truth, Eric, in a lot of
I
ways.
hear this a lot.
I don't think
Yeah,
you, I don't think you're off. I don't think you're off base.
yeah, so
Finish your
and,
thought. I really
but
want to
but
hear
but
the end of it.
but I'm also contradict myself and say, it. I'm not against marriage, but there are things that I am against in regards to marriage. So I can go into like signing the license and creating a contract with the state and like I can go into all that different aspect of marriage. Like a marriage is not legally bound until you sign a contract with like like it goes real deep when you speak of marriage, but on the surface of it, my honest feelings in regards to marriage is unnatural, and it's a forced behavior. Like, it's a reason why in the biblical days they had multiple wives, concubines, and all this other aspects of relationships. We call it polygamy, but it was called something else back then. I can't think of the name.
Like concubines.
Concubines, but it's not we call it polygamy now in this time, but it was called something. I can't think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called, but I do know what you're speaking of. I've heard the terminology before.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're touching on this because this is a real wrestle for me, right? I personally don't want to get married again, right? But because of my faith and me knowing that it's pleasing to God, and I'm talking about the aspect of sex, right? Paul says it's better to marry than burn in passion, right?
How does
That's what's making me want to get married, because I want to please God. But
it's a
I
part of pleasing
personally
yourself,
want to get
right?
married? I don't.
She didn't hear you.
I mean, but is that pleasing God or pleasing yourself?
What?
When you say, because you understand the sexual desires or whatever, and knowing that you said the burning passion, or what was the statement you made?
Paul says it's better to marry than to burn in passion.
So, you don't ever. I think it's tough on a person that they feel when they engage in those type of activities that they feel that they could have a sense of like they're failing God. Does that make sense?
No,
That's
exactly how I feel. It's
that's
very
a yeah
it's
that's a
very
large
convicting.
that's a large burden to bear. That's tough, you know. Um, I don't even know how to unwrap that one.
If
That's
you're
tough.
here and you're listening in the comments and you can speak to that situation, um, speak to that
Yeah,
situation.
We could go down the whole rabbit hole with just this topic right here, because on one hand, we're
I'm a
saying
bone cold center then.
we're saying like, sex before marriage is a sin per the word, right? And then earlier we said that God is forgiving God, right?
He is a forgiving God,
And
but
then, and let me finish. And then in that same book, one of God's favorite children, David, wasn't he the same guy that sent this man to the front line to get killed so that David could have his wife?
so
Did God forgive David? I
so
assume he
so
did.
so he definitely did. So in regards to what you're saying, God is a forgiving God, but there's a difference between sinning and living in sin. God says, should we consider in sin because grace abounds? Certainly not, right? And he's saying, I'm not giving you this grace so you can do whatever you want to do. But David was a person, when he did sin and he went to God and asked for forgiveness, he did not repeat the same sin. Although he did what he did,
He
he
still
didn't go
did what
back
he
and do the
did.
same thing.
So even David, even one of God's chosen people, aren't perfect. I'm not saying that cheating and stepping outside of your
We
marriage
all imperfect.
is the thing to do. But if we keep going back to the book, we have all kinds of scenarios that we could touch on every day that we can contradict every single conversation with.
If we go back to the book, we ain't doing nothing.
I don't think the
We ain't doing
Bible is.
nothing.
I don't think the Bible is contradicting at all. I think the Bible is.
I didn't say that. I said that if we go back to it, it can contradict plenty situations.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But I want to talk about what Eric is saying, because I hear this a lot. Like, I hear this a lot, and I really want to. I want to dig deeper. I
My
really
thing, and
want
my
to
thing
dig
is, and
deeper
my
in
thing is,
it.
my thing is what Eric said too. Was it when they were doing it in that time period? What was it considered? Was it a sin then, or was it okay?
I really can't answer that
Or
question. I
has
would
it just
probably say it
evolved?
was a sin. I mean, I don't know.
Or
I
has
would
it
say that.
evolved and changed as
So let me ask you this,
Christianity
Eric. Let me ask you this,
Christianity
Eric
has
and
been
Mo.
adjusted and changed?
What's the alternative? If you, because Eric said that he
A
contradicted
free
himself
loving,
somewhat.
society.
What is that?
A free
What you say, Mo?
Something about a whorehouse.
No.
It sounds like what is that called? That polyamory that's going on
I
now.
said a free loving society. That's the only alternative because because my thing is I think that the
Did he freeze?
Mm-hmm.
Mo,
He froze. Okay.
he
He just
froze because
froze.
I was like, wait,
I
your
thought
thing was
something
working.
happened. I was like, "Lie, what happened to Mo?"
So like
So
Eric, like what's the alternative?
I don't have an alternative. I just know that like just living and observing and and just that feeling of almost like incomplete or something that marriage and like man, it's can man.
Someone said, you see what someone said.
Or
No, orgy. No, it's not even that. So, and again, like I do contradict myself when I speak on marriage because it is possible to be married to one person, to be loyal to one person, to be committed to one person. I'm not saying it's not possible. All I'm saying is that practice is abnormal. It is
So you're saying,
forced behavior. That's all.
let me try to go back and get understanding. So you're saying that the creation of man was not made to be with one woman
Right. For the rest of his
for the
life.
rest
So
of his life.
absolutely not. And if
And
a
your
man say
basis for saying this is
and if a man say that,
hey, my
it,
apologies. My
no
apologies.
worries.
it is just watching people. Like it is some work. Less known to be in a relationship. But a marriage, it is like 3 jobs
Mm,
in one.
I see. I see.
It,
Young Mika says so. It's basically an orgy. No, that's not what it is, Young Mika.
no,
Yeah, no. But what we're saying is, I think when you look at biblical terms, and I get that these are Bible's the basic instructions before leaving Earth. But when you look at biblical terms, we can't keep going through the Bible and putting higher value on other sins than other sins. If you tell 3 or 4 lies a day, I almost feel like a sin is a sin. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that, that society has made so many other sins like huge atrocities. Of course, you don't want to be taking people's lives and everything like that. But I, I think that when people engage in certain relationships, it may not be natural for them to be who they are in their relationships. I think a lot of people may get married and get particular relationships because that is the expectation that's set forth by the church or by society, and that's what the expectation is. And a lot of times people just live in that space because they just think it's the right thing to do, even though that's not naturally what comes. That's not naturally who they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense. That makes sense. So when you were I was asking Eric about so he was saying that for creation, man was not made to just be with one woman for the rest of his life. Do you agree?
Um, I think it just depends on the woman and what
How
type
does
of
it depend on the
relationship it
woman?
is. Because in order to be in a well, my idea of relationship is man and woman, but in this society we live in now, that could be whatever person defines as a relationship. But what I'm saying is, it just depends on is that woman truly able to fulfill whatever needs that man has. Do I think it's natural for the rest of your life to be that way? Most likely not. I don't think so. Do I think it's possible to be in that one relationship and be happy in it? I think it's possible, but I think the majority of people it doesn't come natural to them. They desire other things and want to do other things.
Okay. Fred, what do you think about that? Do you think that man was created to be with one woman for the rest of his life?
I don't know, because we're going off of biblical. We keep
No,
coming.
I'm asking you your personal opinion.
I can see how it could be hard. But if you really love and care about that person, you can make it work. But man, they got some well put together women.
so here's the thing. Like, the reason why I'm harping on this is because I'm sorry, I'm trying to put these in there. The reason why I'm harping on this is because this is something that I feel like is a growing epidemic. Like, it's like many people are feeling like the polyamory. Am I saying it correct?
Yeah,
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 cause that'll basically be like multiple people. I don't know because that's the most time that's multiple people under the same household
Okay,
coexisting.
what
Like
I've
that's a
heard
little
is, and let me
intense.
put it to where I've heard. From what I've heard, and this is about, and I also want y'all to chime in, guys, because this is about, I would say 50% of the conversations. I'm a flight attendant, so I have a lot of conversations on the jump seat. And a good half of the conversations are leaning more towards people accepting this way of living. And I'm no judge. I'm not trying to judge anybody. You do what's best for you, type of thing, but I am a seed sower. Let me say that. But I'm hearing that, hey, marriage is control, okay? Is built to control.
It's a
And I don't
contract.
want to be controlled, right? I
Mhm.
don't want to be in a binding situation because I don't know if I can be with one person for the rest of my life, right? I don't know if I want someone having access to my finances if things don't work out. I don't know if, right? That's not we not right now. I don't want to use the Bible per se. I just want to really hit to where everybody's not a believer. So I want to hit this
Yeah,
conversation where it is.
yeah,
You
and you make
know,
a lot of sense. And
huh?
I say you make a lot of sense because I
Yeah.
hear that too.
So my thing is like, where is this ideology? Like, where is it coming from? Like, even Eric, what made you start thinking about it?
just watching all the divorces, paying attention and listening and hearing everybody complain about. Because I also heard this saying: people that are married don't want to be married. People that are single want to be married. So it goes it's both ways. But just hearing stories, I mean, and just having my own thoughts and understanding and feelings in regards to it, just me living life. Like I'm single. Like I'm single. And there may have been one or two times in my life where it crossed my mind, but it was brief. It was brief. And I don't, and to be quite honest, I don't know if I'm gonna ever get married. I don't know. I haven't met that person to where I'd be like I say, I thought at one point it was, but just to be like, yeah, yes,
So
Yeah,
a lot of people are commenting and they talking about the cheating aspect of it, right?
right.
It's not always physical that we talking
But it's
about,
not. But it's
right?
not just but it's just not the cheating. That's the thing that like certain demographics think it's the cheating. It's other things that can be totally unacceptable in marriage outside of cheating. Like it always goes back to the physical. I mean, I was married and a person took a home equity loan out on my house, but behind our back and forged my signature. I'd rather for you to go cheat on me 1,000 times than to take $200,000 in equity out the house and can't account for any of the funds. Like it's way more egregious stuff. All this the cheat. Everybody harp on that. There's so many other things that could occur outside of cheating, but everybody's asphyxiated on cheating. Eric didn't just come up with a scenario out of his mind. He went back to ancient civilizations that were practicing this. Now,
mhm.
whether it worked in that civilization or not, it ain't nothing. He just came. It ain't brand new. He's obviously read and dove into some different things and different civilizations and understand how people are living back in the time. But relationships is far more than just cheating. There's a lot of other egregious stuff that can go on outside of cheating. But we just get so asphyxiated on the physical form of it. What about you? You can poll a person. Would you rather be cheated on, or for somebody to forge your signature and take $200,000 worth of equity out your house? I know which one I'd rather have. You know, and those are the things that can lead to how Eric says, "Hey, that it's hard for him to communicate and express his emotions and stuff because that kind of stuff will put a wall up on you and make you hard to trust anybody." So
Yeah,
I just think it's outside of the physical stuff. There's so many other things that can go on. I just think that everybody else think when somebody cheats, all the world, the sky's falling. If someone cheats on me, the first thing I'm gonna ask them is, "Why did you cheat on me?" What ownership do I have in it to make you feel that way? Or did you try to communicate to me and I didn't listen to you, and you had to find comfort in someone else? You know, because I mean, at some point, I got to own some of the responsibility of it for even to get there. And a female can own the same responsibility in it for him to get there. Of course, a lot of times they say, well, men just do it because we are innately dogs and we just chase tail. But that ain't always the case. It's because something was missing in that, and me may try to communicate it and didn't feel heard, didn't help, felt that we were listened to, vice versa, and they look for it outside of the household. We all got to own some part in it.
Yeah, I
Are
think
you
today,
and as you're being accountable to yourself, you hold your brothers accountable when they come to you and they in distress in this type of situation?
Yeah, I like Kimmy Jones. Kimmy Jones, yeah, Kimmy, you better tell the truth.
Okay, we
there's a big word we talked about the dynamic and people not wanting to get married these days,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That word is half, right? Because think about it, we all hustlers. A lot of us are entrepreneurs. You know, we make decent money, and for somebody that's not putting in the work to come to the table and leave with half, that's scary.
it's a business contract. It's an agreement. It's a legal binding contract. It's a lot that goes into it.
It
A
does.
lot.
It,
But
it is. It really is. And
And
I believe that we need to start having these conversations more often so we can create a space to where I feel as though if I'm dating somebody, I don't want him to be in agreement about anything that he doesn't want to do. I want him to be able to tell me, like, give me that opportunity, that space to say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I don't want to do.
Yeah, and it's not all about the physical looks, because those things could fade. Who are you
yeah,
connecting with? What
absolutely.
type of energy are you bringing to the house? Are you able to sleep peacefully at night? Right?
And when
You
did
know,
you get to that point? When did you get to that level of maturity?
probably in my 30s.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes it just takes time, and it also depends on the person that you're with,
So I
because
was reading.
depending on who you're with, they can bring out the better aspects in you.
So I was
Absolutely.
reading something the other day, or maybe I was listening to a podcast, and the guy says that he is at a space to where he don't want the Instagram girl. He don't want the 10. He'd rather get him a 7 or an 8 with substance, right?
I always have this conversation. So it's the Instagram girl is never the wife. The Instagram girl is always the toy, is always the side piece, always the person that they see maybe in the front. But the average looking woman is the one that they choose to be a wife. Is the one at home that take care of the kids and doing all this. The Instagram girl with 20 surgeries and the BBLs and the fake boobs, those are the toys. Like
She sees it.
yeah, they don't a man. I know as a man, I don't even want that. It looks good, but that's not. I am not. That is not a childbearing woman. That is not a homely woman. That is not
Get
a.
in a car,
That is
get in
not
a
a
car
woman.
accident, get in a car accident, and you can't do something for yourself and see if that Instagram woman gonna wipe your ass for you.
She gonna move
That's real. That's real.
to the next. But yeah,
But you got some,
But
you
I
got
feel
some
as
opinion.
though y'all are more men. Not all. Men are more susceptible to going for eye candy versus value, worth,
But
substance,
but
and
it's,
things of that nature. And quite honestly, and I'm with Kimmy right here, average looking. Like I can be a woman that I may not be on Instagram posting a lot of pictures, but I can still be above average and still carrying those same characteristics.
I agree.
well, just because you're an Instagram model don't mean it doesn't mean that you're a 10. You know, it's a lot of things that encompass being a 10. It's a lot of natural 10s out here. I
So
mean,
tell
20
me,
years
tell
ago,
me, tell me,
20
tell me
years
what
ago, there was no
encompasses.
breast milk.
Tell me what encompasses being a 10.
But I think sometimes people forget that 20 years ago, it wasn't all these butt lifts and breast implants. It was just natural women, and they still out here. You gotta look for them a little bit harder now, but they're still out there. You know,
I,
don't have to put on all the makeup and all that kind of stuff, and just natural skin and
Well,
natural curves
let
and all
me
that
answer.
kind of good
Let
stuff.
me
Yeah, they
answer
do.
your question, Kendra. In my opinion, what encompasses being a 10? I think that the only thing that separates these quote unquote average people, women, and those quote unquote tens is just the confidence level. Because their confidence level is going to shine through.
Okay, I agree with that. Now let's talk
Next,
about what Mika just posted because I'm in agreement. As
what
you
she
can
said.
see, some men put the plastic on the pedestal. They're the ones. No, they the ones follow them and end up in the bed one night and procreate. Right. So this is the 80. This is the 80%. This is the perception of the 80% that I was speaking of earlier. Right. The
Hmm.
perception. You're willing to risk because of what? Mo, are
It's,
you
it's it's
frozen?
it's no, it's pure lust. It's pure lust. That's why they fell to it and procreated. It's pure lust. I mean, lust has brought down empires. Brutus and Caesar, like this has been going on for thousands of years. It's not gonna
So
stop.
here are the conversations that I'm
It's just
asking. Are y'all
it's
having amongst each other? I understand we're having this conversation tonight, but are y'all having these conversations amongst each other? Are you telling your friends like, hey, Eric's not married, so
don't do
Fred's
that.
married, so maybe Fred is speaking to Eric. Eric, you out here, you looking for this 10. You might need a 2 with great spirit. You know,
Mhm. You
I'm
gotta
just,
have Holy Spirit.
I'm just kidding.
You gotta be touching God.
Twos need love too.
They do.
No question. No question. No question.
Not for me.
So that's what I'm saying. So like I'm wondering, are we keeping each other accountable? So I'm gonna shift gears. We spend a lot of time on marriage. But I posted a question today in the group, right? And I was speaking on why black men are oftentimes not in the household, are absent, right? The question actually says, why is growing up without a father so common in the black race? How can we change that narrative? Fred, can you share a little bit about what you said?
Yeah, I basically said that I think it's because our culture and our society looks at that as though it's the norm, right? And a lot of it is media brainwashing, because when you portray a black household or you portray a black family, a lot of times in the movies that we watch and the songs that we listen to, we talk about the divided the household. The guy's not a successful entrepreneur. Most of the cases, he's in prison, because that's what they want us to think about ourselves. And so, if this is what our kids and the generations that are coming after us are continuing to see, that's what they're going to recognize as the norm. So we have to be able to change the dynamic and show them some positive influences.
Y'all thoughts? Oh,
Well,
matter of
I'm
fact,
thinking.
while y'all mull over that, let me read what one of the girls said in here. I thought it was very informative. So she says, I'm half black and half white, but was adopted by a Hispanic family, hence the name change. Her last name is Garcia. I care so much about this topic because I had a hard childhood, which affected me severely. We can't use the separation of families during slavery as an excuse because until the 1960s, black men aged 35 and older were more likely to marry than white men. And she listed a web address where you can go and validate that. Why are there so many pregnancies out of wedlock in the black community? Why are women putting motherhood over marriage? The blame goes on women because men don't have reproductive rights. If a woman gets pregnant, the man doesn't have legal right to decide what happens to the baby. If a woman chooses to give her most valuable gift, her womb, to a man, shouldn't the man at least be vetted, if not a husband first? The statistics show that 73% of black children are born to single mothers. Hispanics follow at 52% and whites at 29%. The stats are so high that it is alarming, yet our community fails to acknowledge or address it. Even the black church won't speak up about it because they're afraid of offending people. The socioeconomic efforts will keep cycling, and our community won't remain viable if this 40-year-old trend doesn't stop.
Well, what are the
Thoughts?
dynamics? What were the dynamics that occurred 40 years ago that may have changed that structure?
Primarily, I personally think it had a lot to do with the welfare, the situation regarding welfare. Back then, I want to say it was during the Reagan administration, they posed all of the welfare and systematic uh,
Benefits,
huh?
benefits, or
Yes,
yeah.
for you to be able to be approved for them, but you couldn't have the man in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. A lot has been. So government has done its best to separate the family, and that's through that process. That's through the whole weed era, the three strike
Mhm.
era. That's through
The
um
crack to the powder cocaine era.
yeah,
Right,
like
right.
they have done their best to to to
Disjoint the black family.
disengage love,
Yeah.
to completely break up the black family. And I'm not just blaming it on the government, but they had a lot to do with it. They had a lot to do with it.
So how do we as a people stop this from systematically occurring
I think
generation after generation?
I
Like
think it's
there
I
has
think
to
it's the
be, and
narrative.
granted, I understand it's not a okay, you do this and then it's done. But what are some things that we can begin to educate ourselves on or implement that could deteriorate this notion?
I mean, personally, I know a lot of great fathers that aren't with their mothers of the child. And just because a man is in the house with a woman or married to a woman, doesn't mean that when they're in that house together that they're giving those children a great example of what a loving couple
Right,
should
right.
be. Sometimes people are better
A
being
better apart.
separated from each other and being able to show examples of what a good woman is and a good man together and how to co-parent if something doesn't work out. I can't necessarily speak to that. I done had my daughter since she was 5 years old. So, and I know a lot of dudes that done raised their daughters or raised their sons, and the mother was not the primary place of residence for the child. I think that we got to change that narrative because a lot more fathers out here are raising their children, and I don't necessarily they're being polled or being asked those questions or it's known, but I've seen a lot more regular now than I used to see. I know about probably 10 to 12 of my friends that raised their daughters and sons since they were infants because the mothers may have had some type of issue or just wasn't necessarily fit to be a parent. And I just think there's a lot more good men out here taking care of their children as a single parent or co-parenting with their mothers, and we just don't necessarily get the credit because it's just not the narrative being sold to everybody. To be
And
honest
that's
with you,
right.
I
And
agree, Mo. I agree
yeah,
with that.
so the thing about what you just said is you never hear those stories.
you
You
done.
Right.
always hear bad.
Yep.
Man, he don't take care of his kids. He doing this, he doing that. He in jail. Like you always hear the bad. You never hear about those men.
No, you don't. And I was having a conversation with a friend earlier. It's like, you know, look at Mother's Day versus Father's Day, right?
Yeah.
And if a guy is taking care of his kids, taking care of his household, you don't hear about it, but you hear about him leaving, you hear about him
Absolutely.
cheating, you hear about him doing anything that's negative in the mind of society. But especially for a black man, you rarely hear anything good. We want y'all to shout our names from the roof just like y'all want us to shout yours, right? So why can't we have that same respect?
How can we as women meet those needs? Like, do y'all have
Speak, speak,
any?
speak about the women. Speak about the fathers that are great, even though they're not together, and not get caught in the fact that we're not together and make that the narrative. Even if you're not happy with it, we're not together, but he's a great father. He takes care of his kids. He's present. He loves on them. He's financially there for them. He's there to support them at different events and whatever's going on. And they need to speak about it more because I mean, as many good dads as I know, and I know some of the mothers, other children, I don't hear them heap no praise on them. And it's not that we need praise, but if you're gonna drag somebody through the mud, then give them a little credit when they're doing something right. You know what I'm saying? Because all that does is uplift and encourages other people to say the same thing about the fathers of their children. You know what I'm saying? I done raised mine since she was 5, what she 20 years old now. And the mother of my child just started speaking about it 6 months ago. You know, speak about it more. It's okay. The woman ain't the only one that can be a nurturer. A man can nurture his family and take care of his children too,
Now let me give
and
y'all
can
a
love
prime
and teach a woman.
example. I have triplets. I have 2-year-old triplets, right?
You got triplets.
I got triplets,
That's
2-year-old
tough.
triplets, two
That's
boys.
tough, Fred. No, before you say anything, Fred, when they told you it was triplets, how did you react? Were you
Man,
like,
I
were
was
you like,
froze up like you was a couple of seconds ago on the screen.
man? I'm like, man, I'm like, yeah. I was just froze. I was like, oh man,
And
yikes.
so,
So,
just to expound on this topic we're talking about the credits, you know, when I'm in a house, I spend a lot of time with my kids. I feel like
Hmm.
I'm there just as much as my wife,
Hmm.
and rarely hear about that. But the minute I go home to visit my dad in Louisiana, let's say, and my wife's not with me, I hear, "Oh, why did you leave her with those kids? Why did you do this? Why did you do that?"
Mm.
It's not what were you doing when you were there. It's almost why did I leave? Well, nobody was praising me while I'm here, and I should be able to go and see my dad without society thinking I'm a bad dad or I'm abandoning my kids.
It's a cold
That's
world.
factual. That's factual. I feel as though we're condemned to have that type of response, you know. So I myself would definitely start communicating. I mean, I communicate about my kid's father in a positive way all the time. I've never talked down on him to my kids. I definitely try not to talk down to him, even on my family and friends. And we haven't been together in over 20 years. But I feel as though, yes, you're right. I would definitely be a little more assertive when even posting that to the group to celebrate men and to be able to show y'all reverence, because I feel as though society as a whole, we condemn the black man for so many things, you know, and I would like to do a little bit more of congratulating black men. I've actually been working on trying to get together um, an event to where we just reverence black men. Well, all the black men will be invited, and then we will show forms of reverence. We will show how we appreciate you all, because every man is not a deadbeat dad, right?
Mhm.
Every man is not on unemployment or out here trying not to take care of his family. You know, every man is not abusive. You know, these are just situations that happen, but it does not cultivate the entire race. So I definitely take on that notion of honoring men. You don't even have to be my man. I just want to be able to show honor and reverence to men. And so I'm asking you all to share things that we can do. So even the people who are listening, if they're not doing these things within their household or in their community, that they can start trying to implement that into their day-to-day life.
I agree.
So
I
thank y'all.
appreciate you. I
Thank y'all
appreciate
for
you.
being, I want to say, the examples, you know, of what a good man looks like. You know, we're all imperfect, even as women, and we get pats
Mhm.
on the back all the time, and some of us show up subpar. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. What I mean, we have about 3 minutes before we wrap up. Like, is there anything else that y'all feel like that we as women, we as a community can do to show appreciation?
Listen first. I think you're doing a good job with creating this platform so that we can talk about these things out on the table. We all got different perspectives, and a lot of our comments were based off of just the general census of guys as a whole, what we're hearing on the streets, what we're thinking, mixed in with some of our own thoughts. So I do think that this is a good platform. We got to continue the conversation for sure.
And I agree with Fred too. Like, just be cognizant of the Father's Days because I've had the same conversation multiple times. Like, Mother's Day come around, I mean, it's confetti, cake, parades. Father's Day come around, pack of
Ain't no
socks,
lines at the restaurant.
pack
Time.
of socks. Some V, no lines at the restaurant. You can walk right in there and get your food immediately. A pack of V-neck white t-shirts. Like, it gotta be more effort put into it, you know?
But you know what though? You know what? Even more than just Father's Day, right? Every man out here don't have children. So even just being a man, right? Even just being a man, like I feel as though that there's a certain level of reverence that should still go to the black man. The black man endures more than what we can ever imagine, right? I
Mhm.
can't fathom what a black man goes out there and faces. I know what I face as a woman is significant, but to know what black men are out here facing and what we have faced from years to come, I mean, from the past, from the years in the
In the past.
past, have faced a lot. It's like a black man can show up with all the right qualities and yet still be looked over, right? And so when he
Mhm.
goes home, I feel as though he's not looking for that woman to tear down. I feel like he's not looking for that woman to make him feel less than, right? So I think we as a whole have to do much better in lifting up black men, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Want to be
So
lifted, want to be uplifted. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
yeah,
Even how is your day? I feel like a lot of the brothers that I talk to, they don't even get that, right?
yeah,
And some of these brothers, they're the breadwinner, and their wives are at home. They don't have to work.
yeah.
But when he comes through the door, he can't even get greeted with how is your day?
Yeah.
Might get greeted with what's for dinner.
Yep. What we eating? We I ain't on my way to the house.
Well, I want to close out this and say some words of encouragement. I mean, this is on the, I guess, spur of the moment, so it's not going to be like it's, I might run out of words. Let me say that. But I just want to say that you all are enough. You all are worthy. You all are worth it. You all belong here. You are strong. You are healthy. You are valuable. Okay? You are needed. You are necessary. You are loved. You are free. You are freedom. You are security. You are strength. You are powerful. You are mighty. And I appreciate everything that you all do. I hope that you all can take what I'm saying and understand that it's not just words that I'm speaking. Like, I truly believe in my heart this about black men, and I will shout to the rooftops, until we can change this narrative. That is what my podcast is about. Oh, yes, you are kings. This is what my podcast is about, is changing the narrative. And I understand that we cannot do that. I cannot, and we cannot do that in one night or nights. But I do believe that when we reach each other will reach the masses. So it'll start at some point.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Somebody said you all are very handsome as well.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
cool, mademoiselle.
So does anybody have, before we get out of here, if you do have an Instagram handle or Mo don't do social media, y'all. So if you
Hey,
have anything
hey,
that you want to reach out and tell Mo, you're gonna have to DM me, and I can pass it on to Mo.
yeah, I've detoxed myself from social media.
I just
Life
dropped
is
my IG
life
in the
better.
chat if you want to post it, Eric.
Say it again.
I just dropped my Instagram in the chat. So
I think it's just for us though, Fred.
I mean, you can post it if you're able to.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Like Fred, I can say it.
Okay.
I will drop it in the comments below.
Oh, I'll drop it.
Let me see. I will drop it in the comments below, Fred, but can you let them know while I'm doing that?
Yep. So my Instagram, if you guys want or girls want to follow me, is at Fred Brooks Jr. the Realtor, and I'm going to drop it in the comments as well.
Okay. If you need to reach out to Eric, I tagged him in this post. If you need to DM him for anything, you definitely, I'm sure he won't have a problem. Again, if you want to reach out to Mo, you definitely can DM me. Also, you can reach me on Instagram at _be_salty_. Of course, here on Facebook. You on here, so you know. But invite people. I say invite your friends, your family. Invite them to this private group, because I think that we're in a space to where we can have these type of conversations within a community and change the narrative. Y'all have anything that y'all want to say before we get out of here?
Thank you, everybody that's listening in, that's watching. We appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you as always, Kendra. You've been nothing but a solid friend since day one, and just keep doing what you're doing to keep expanding the platform and reach as many people as you can possibly.
Thank you so much.
Kendria, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. I look forward to hopefully being on again. This was amazing. Thank you all for listening, and y'all have an amazing rest of y'all nights.
Absolutely. So, guys, you can catch the replay if you do not get to watch the live. You definitely can catch the replay. Also, I attached on the YouTube handle. Please go like, subscribe, click on that notifications tab so you can get notifications when I'm on. Y'all, I only have 2 videos on there, but we all have to start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotta start somewhere.
I'm right behind you now.
Okay. Come on. I have 3. This is gonna be my 3rd video. So, as always, I thank you all for joining in, and remember, be salty.
See you later.